Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for October 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and if you're interested in accelerating your spiritual warrior nature, you can come to my Spiritual Warrior Weekend event. It's a live event in Sarasota, Florida, or if you can't make it to Sarasota, then you can join us virtually. So you can see more about that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. So what is going on in the month of October? We've got lots of general transits that I'm going to discuss later. First, I want to talk about some things specific for Aquarius. I promised last month that I would get more into what we have going on with Jupiter moving into a new sign and a new house, at least for you early degree placements and coming soon for your later degree placements. It turns out that where Jupiter is, there are also other personal planets. So besides this long-term focus that I'm talking about that's going to be coming now or coming later for some of you, there's also a short-term focus for what I'm about to describe. So it's relevant for all Aquarius placements. So I was watching Kung Fu Panda 3 and Master Shi-Fu dropped some wisdom that I really like for Jupiter and other planets moving through the ninth house. The ninth house is, well, I'll get into more about what the ninth house is. And this is what he said. If you only do what you can do, you'll never be anything more than you are now. And that's what this ninth house is all about. Jupiter rules the ninth house. So whenever a planet is in a sign that it rules, it's really happy there. So you've got a year-ish of Jupiter expanding your ninth house. Early degree placements, like the January born Aquarius placements and 0 through around 9 degrees, you are feeling this now. This is current for you now. Middle degree placements, so like from the 1st of February through around the 10th, you're going to be feeling this more at the beginning of next year. You can sometimes feel Jupiter transits about 3 months before they become active, so you might feel this brewing. Later degree placements is going to be into next year that this gets really active for you, but it is a short-term focus for this month, so it's still relevant for you. So the ninth house is all about expansion. You know, if you know anyone with a lot of Sag energy, I'm one of those people. We have a lot of energy, a lot of words, a lot of ideas. Everything is expanded, amplified. So it's the idea of the bigger picture. Stretching yourself, evolving yourself, bringing yourself past, beyond your limits, your limitations, whatever you thought that you couldn't do. It rules travel and interactions with people from different countries and different cultures. It talks about teaching and learning. It rules anything having to do with legal matters. A classic thing here would be immigration, because that rules different countries and cultures and also has the legal aspect to it. But there are a lot of things that Jupiter will expand and the short-term transits will have you focus on involving the ninth house. So if you ever really needed some impetus to expand out beyond who you are, how you've been, what your life has been, Jupiter is going to give you a really good chance now, along with the short-term planets. So some things that can be enhanced during a Jupiter transit through the ninth house is you stepping into teaching or doing teaching in a different way, or your teaching going out beyond the walls and just into a place of a bigger audience. Also, Jupiter moving through the ninth house can bring you more general optimism. As I said, Jupiter rules the ninth house, and Sag energy is very optimistic, so it can bring you more general optimism about life, about everything. It can also make you feel a greater connection to higher wisdom, like you're being guided, that feeling that you're being guided by something greater. And synchronicities, that kind of energy tends to increase when Jupiter is combined with being in its own house, as it is for you. Now, you middle to later degree placements, also before I mention that, definitely go to my blog. If you go to anniehelpsyou.com and click on blog and click on astrology and do a search for Jupiter, there's a search button if you scroll down on the right. You can see more about Jupiter in the ninth house for the early degree placements, and the middle to late if you want to see more about what's coming. I have a really good in-depth written description of Jupiter in the ninth. And for you middle to late degree placements, also check out Jupiter in the eighth. Jupiter in the 8th house can be amazing for upping your magnetism for winning things. The energy of luck brought to the house of other people's money can make you more likely to win sweepstakes or lotto or anything like that. This is also the house of inheritances, so sometimes things involving inheritances can come. Unfortunately, Jupiter in the 8th house is moving through the house of death, and sometimes that's actual literal death, hence the inheritance. So that could be a downside there. But if you have an inheritance that's coming to you, Jupiter moving through this house could facilitate that to get into your hands. So if you're feeling like playing the lotto, you definitely want to do that. Don't gamble in a way that's not good for you, of course, but trust your hunches and follow them. I have a really great example of someone who I did a chart reading for a long time ago. And they had something involving Jupiter, either through transit or a natal placement, and then something coming right on top of it to join. And so I was talking about this tendency of expansion of the people's money. And they said, well, I go in the sweepstakes every year, and it's really expensive to do it, but you can win $1 million. And I was thinking since I've done it for 10 years, I was just going to stop. And I was like, don't stop now. You have to do it because Jupiter's more on your side, or whatever was going on there. You have the energy of expansion being activated in the 8th house. You definitely don't want to stop this year. You got to do it for sure. And then I saw them after several months, and they had won the sweepstakes, the $1 million. So this is like that kind of energy, It's pretty cool. It can also give you more access to credit, and it can also help you clear up debt. It also could help you accumulate debt because of the access to credit. But if you're using it for something like expanding your business or something really important, then that could be beneficial for you. So those are the things that are most on my mind, specific for Aquarius for this month. Now I'd like to go into the need to knows for the general transits. We have a very busy month, lots going on in October to know about. I'm calling the theme of October intense impetus for new birth. So we know whenever we birth something, whether it's an actual child or whether it's a creative project or whether it's a new dimension of an experience, anything new often will come with birthing pains. And this month is full of opportunities to have birthing pains, or also described as the pressure that it either takes to step into a new experience, or the pressure it takes to birth something into the tangible dimension, into the this reality, the third dimension. So there are awesome opportunities for launches, for new things coming in. And actually, this is the first month in all of 2016, starting on October 7th and running through around December 2nd, the first few days in December, that we don't have a personal planet retrograde or a shadow interfering with a launch. There have been a couple of other launch phases that I've recommended this year, but neither of those two main phases were completely clear of retrogrades. But we do have to have some time before this time now in October where we were doing some things, launching new things. But this is the period of time now that it's wide open from the perspective of the personal planets being clear of retrograde. So this month is just like such a mixed bag because it has some beautiful aspects, actually even starting at the end of September. September 26th is the first one. I'll go into that. And straight through the end of the month, October 30th is my favorite day of the month for birthing, which I'll get more into that as well. But in between all of those openings for pushing things forth, moving things along, there is a lot of pressure and opposition, challenges. Sometimes it's the challenge, the opposite, that the thing opposing us that actually creates the intense impetus to do something different. And so we get comfortable in our lives and in circumstances, and sometimes it's easier to just let things be than it is to rock the boat in a way that you would have to be able to create a new life, to birth a project, to birth a new dimension of reality. So this month, it seems like it's completely astrologically designed to bring that pressure that's necessary for the new birth. So if you have brought something out at the end of September, or if you're preparing to launch something, just know you might have a little bit of touch and go before the energy is more clear. The energy gets more clear in November, or actually starting October 30th. So I'll give you some good dates that I really like for launching things. And know that if you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, that you get a more detailed review of the month ahead in writing, along with more dates and things that go on in those dates, and good dates and challenging dates, etc. So I'm giving you some summaries of some of the points here, but you can get more access to that a month ahead of time by signing up for my free newsletter. Okay, so October 1st, we have, well, actually, backtrack. September 26th is one of the most wonderful days of the year for expansion, growth, benevolence, luck. It just happens to be that we're kind of fresh off of Mercury going direct on September 22nd. So it's going to be a great launch date, but I'm putting some conditions in there. If you're launching something that is a relaunch, is a phase of something that is a short-term phase, is addressing something short-term, is like a leg of a journey or a piece of something, then September 26th is fabulous. If it's something that this is the unveiling, the first time someone is ever seeing it, you might want to wait until that October 30th date if you can help it, or at least into October, because you want that Mercury retrograde energy to be more clear when you're launching something for the first time or something long-term. Sometimes we fall under this misconception that you can't do anything in Mercury retrograde or shadow, and that's not true. You can do plenty of things, and you can check out my Mercury retrograde video to see more about that. But the things it mostly dictates is short-term ventures and legal contracts. That you want to avoid is long-term ventures and legal contracts, because the energies are murky and they're subject to change. So that's why I say if you've got something that's like a leg of a journey or something like that for a launch, then September 26th is amazing. Also, ultimately, you always have to trust your intuition and your own flow, because there are sometimes, very often, that personal transits in your personal chart will supersede things in the general transits, so that's a very important thing to note always when you're listening to astrological dates and forecasts. So September 26th is an amazing day. October 1st is another awesome day. Venus in Pisces is making a trine, which is the most favorable angle in astrology, to Neptune in Pisces, and that brings amazing healing and anything having to do with healing, the healing arts, or artistic expression. And Venus, which rules love, beauty, and money. So that's a sweet angle. October 26th, we have Venus in Sag making a 60-degree angle to Jupiter in Libra. And a 60-degree angle is a favorable angle, but it's one that you often have to do something to activate its full glory. Sometimes trines will come and you can activate the energy as well, but sometimes they'll just bring blessings without you having to do much. But the 60-degree angle that we have on October 26th really wants some sort of action. So Venus combined with Jupiter is like love, beauty, money, in a beautiful angle to expansion and growth and luck. So that's a sweet day. My favorite day of the month, and mark this with a big star in your calendar, is October 30th. We have a new moon at 18 degrees of Scorpio. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, and it also trines Neptune. So we've had a lot of new moons this year that have sort of been conflicted or afflicted with their energies because there were difficult angles going on at the same time. And you do have some challenging energy the days before the new moon, but by the time the new moon comes, most of that should be clear. So it's a really great launching pad for anything. You're free of the Mercury retrograde shadow at the beginning of the month. You're free of the challenging angles that dance throughout the month, and so it's just a really nice time. Okay, so there are more dates that I give in my newsletter that are good dates, with some more details there too. So some dates that will likely come with growing or birthing pains or challenges are October 5th, the 15th and 16th, the 19th and the 28th, 29th. And again, like I said, there are more challenging dates throughout the month of October, which you can see the full list when you sign up for my newsletter, but I don't have time to go into all of them. There are just so many. So October 5th, we have Mars in Capricorn squaring Jupiter in Libra. When these planets come together in this angle, it can often lead to overpromising or having overpromised something and not being able to deliver it, or some sort of overextension of action or will. It could also manifest as obstacles in the way of you trying to do something. Mars is action, and when Jupiter is making a difficult angle, it's like you don't have the great expander on your side. It's being antagonistic. So you'll see some things come up there. October 15th and 16th, it's just like a powerhouse of challenge. I think that challenge can be a very, very, very positive thing. So the way I frame challenges, especially if you are being accountable for your own happiness, if you are taking responsibility for the quality of your experience, we can't control the things that will happen always, right? Very often it's completely out of our control, certain destined events. However, we can control the quality of our experience. And when we have challenges, it often causes us to activate that aspect of free will that we have in our charts and stand up for it and do something about it. And sometimes that takes pressure. So on October 15th and 16th, we have this is a yearly event. The Sun opposes Uranus. That makes a 180-degree angle, and it is a challenging angle. So things can come up that can be jostling, erratic people or inconsistencies interfering with something you're trying to do. Mercury is also squaring Pluto, so power figures, someone using their power not in a good way. That could be interfering with your personal expression. And October 16th, we have a full moon at 23 degrees of Aries, and this is a supermoon. This is the fourth supermoon of the year. We have 6 supermoons this year. A supermoon is when the moon is closer to the earth, and you can see it because the moon actually looks bigger. You ever look in the sky and say, whoa, the moon looks huge. It's like right there. That's a supermoon. And we're more affected by everything that the moon affects when there's a supermoon. The gravitational pull on the earth and its inhabitants are increased dramatically when the moon comes closer, especially when it comes into its fullness. So anything that would happen on a full moon will likely be magnified. So that could be lots of emotions, not only negative emotions, there could also be positive emotions. I've had many full moons where I was just brimming with joy, overflowing emotions that were happy. So we're not going to assume that every full moon has to bring some negative drama, although it tends to, because I always use the example of a dog when it gets wet. I love dogs. And when they get wet, they shake, 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 right? And if water represents emotion here, and it does in general, it's like at the full moon, we shake, shake, shake off the excess emotions that we don't process or deal with throughout the month. So this supermoon is in Aries, and one possible challenging aspect of this could bring a health impetus to focus on your health. So could that come through crisis? Yes, maybe, some sort of incident with your health or symptoms or something that maybe they were in the backdrop and then they just got up right in your face. Something like that. Something having to do with yourself, your self-esteem. A very positive aspect that could manifest with a full moon in Aries is amazing recognition and being thrown out into the limelight with it being all about you. Something coming to fruition, something coming to manifestation involving you and what you're doing and what your image is. And, so many people will be cast out in the limelight in this supermoon time. It's really important to note that these transits, even though I give you the dates of them, we can often feel them days before. And the bigger transits, we can feel them weeks or months before sometimes. But the transits that are present this month, you could feel them within days before or within days afterwards. I tend to feel things early. So most of the time when there's a challenging transit, before it comes, it's all right in front of me. And then by the time it actually comes, it's past already. The tension is past, kind of like when you're, when a race car driver is going around a track And when it gets to the point, if you've ever done like go-karts or anything, then you know you're like excited to go forward, and then you have to slow down because there's that turn and it's awkward, and then you can zoom for the straight track. So that's similar, I liken it to that. So there's a lot of antagonistic energy at this time, but there's also a lot of chance for fruition, and there's a lot of pressure that's building that can facilitate your birthing of new things. The next transit that can be challenging is Mars and Pluto conjunct in Capricorn, and this occurs on October 19th. So when you have Mars, the god of war, and Pluto, the god of the underworld that rules birth, death, transformation, rebirth, atomic energy, get together, all of those traits will likely be magnified. Now, people can use that for good. People can have their ambitions soar during this transit and get thrown into a position, again, of recognition. There's a theme of this. But there could also be negative energy that brews to the point of verbal or even physical violence. People will be on edge, and angers and tensions may run high. So just be really careful around this time. Don't push anything, if there's a situation that could be sketchy, and just breathe. October 28th and 29th, Mars, again, is in an aspect with a planet that it doesn't work well with when it's in a square. So Mars square Uranus, especially in Aries, which is like this fiery catapult of energy, and Aries rules Mars. So there's like, again, this combination of this very forceful, assertive energy. So just be really careful with your actions and other people's actions. And, if things like, I went to the library the other day and I saw 2 security guards going up, like one called the other one, and I was like, that doesn't look like a good situation. I think I'm going to get out of this situation. Like that, just kind of be looking around for things that don't look right or feel right, and distance yourself from them, and don't purposely put yourself in any situations that could be like that if you can help it. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits for October. Again, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. I have a new blog on there for making powerful wishes for the new moon in Scorpio, specific for Scorpio wishes. You can advance your wishing power when you align the new moon wishes with the subjects of the sign that the new moon is in. So you can read more about that on my blog. And while you're there, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get more details the month ahead about the upcoming transits, often some additional details than I give in the horoscopes. While you're there, if you are looking to expand your monetary earning potential or magnetic potential, check out my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So you can click on my programs and check out my other programs in my Unleash Your Money Magnet. So I hope that you have a wonderful month of October. If you want to become a spiritual warrior, then you can check out my Spiritual Warrior Weekends. I'm having a live and virtual option for that experience in November. So you can see more of that on my website. Hope you have a wonderful month. See you soon. Bye.